How do I turn this into this on a tight budget? I'm going to show you. Thanks for joining me on this very special episode of MTV Cribs. I hope you're ready to see where the magic happens. Alright, so a quick word of explanation. So my home office, which doubles as my studio for YouTube videos, is a standard bedroom just like any other. It's, I don't know, maybe 12 by 12, something like that. And it's a pretty typical square bedroom. There's nothing remarkable or unique about it. And like many of you, I'm operating on a tight budget. I want to produce high quality videos with good production values, but there's only so much money to go around, and it doesn't all go toward my YouTube channel. So in this episode, I'm going to show you the various hacks and tricks and workarounds that I've used to come up with at least hopefully pretty good production values on a tight budget with not a lot of equipment. Obviously, the first thing to do in a video studio is control the lighting, and that means closing the shutters. And I actually have a pretty cheap set of Studio Pro softboxes. As you can see right here. Let's turn these on and get a little light going. And that's the basic lighting setup. There's a primary light and a secondary light. I actually use my monitor as kind of a gobo to block out some of the light just so it's not overpowering. I actually have both lights set on their lowest settings. It's a 5-bulb light, and I just have one of the bulbs activated. I can crank it up more, but I want to try and balance it against the background so I don't look like I'm sitting in a dark room. The background is actually super boring. It's just a brown wall, and that doesn't do much to separate from my skin tones. So to create a little bit of visual separation, I actually have these little Aputure ALM9s with a colored gel in front of it to throw a little blue on the wall, and that gives me a little bit of separation from the background. I have another one over here. Let me turn this on. And that's the basic look. The decor is IKEA, plus some leftover decorations that didn't fit anywhere else in our house. So I kind of claimed the leftovers and tried to make something out of it. This light is actually a super pain in the neck because you have to reach back here to turn it on. Alright, let's take a look at the actual camera setup. I was lucky enough to get my hands on a Sony a7 III. However, my early episodes were filmed on my Google Pixel 2, which is what I'm filming on right now. And that worked. It was good enough. So, obviously a better camera is going to serve you better. However, if you have any kind of pretty reasonable smartphone made in the last couple of years, you've probably got a great camera that you can use for video. I also have this weird contraption set up here, so I have a little bit of a shoe extender. Attached to that, I've got a Rode Video mic, which is a pretty affordable microphone. There are cheaper ones out there, though. And I have a little periscope here that lets me see the screen, because the screen on the a7 III doesn't flip around so you can see it. So you need this little periscope job to be able to see what's happening on the screen. Now that's a bit clunky, so when I'm here at the office, I actually use this screen here, which is a little HDMI monitor. This is not like a cool Atomos Ninja or anything like that. This is a tiny monitor with poor quality that's really meant to work with like a Raspberry Pi or something like that. However, it has an HDMI output, and I found the right cable to connect it, so I can actually use this screen to see what I'm doing on camera. Also plugged into this web of spaghetti cables here is my set of 10-year-old Sennheiser headphones, which I use to check the audio. And while I'm working in Premiere, I am typically working on this classic laptop. This is a mid-2015, one of the last of the great MacBooks. So it doesn't have the stupid touch bar thing. It has actual buttons you can push. So if you need to change the volume, there's actually a volume button you can push instead of hunting around for it. It also has great features like actual USB jacks. And over here it's got an HDMI out, and you can see I can actually plug in my memory cards right into the computer. No dongles, no adapters, no hubs, everything just plugs right into the computer. It's amazing and beautiful. And for storage I have a Western Digital Elements. Man, look at all that dust. That looks terrible. I really should have cleaned up more. This is about a 6 terabyte drive, and I store all my raw video on it as well as the actual projects I'm working on. And this screen here is an HP 2511, which is actually a 1080p monitor. And what that means is between this screen and this screen, I can't actually watch my own videos in 4K. And for the acoustic treatment, I have literally just hung moving blankets from my walls. It does not get much more ghetto than this. They don't soundproof it or anything, but they help deaden the sound so there's not as much echo bouncing off the walls. And that's my budget YouTube setup. I do have a nice camera, but most phones have nice cameras, and nice cameras are not super hard to come by, so that's not the make or break factor here. I have a relatively cheap audio setup. I've got 10-year-old headphones, 10-year-old monitor, 5-year-old laptop. These lights are probably $75. You can get the little aperture lights for about $45 each. And the only acoustic treatment I've done is to put some moving blankets on the walls. So the point of all this is that if you're waiting to get all the right equipment before you can make videos, you're never going to get any videos done. You work with what you've got, and you keep adding on to it as you're able to, and eventually you'll put together enough that you're getting the quality that you want. And I think you'll be surprised to find that it doesn't take that much equipment or cost to put together a pretty reasonable home YouTube studio where you can get good production values and just start making videos. I hope you'll check out some of the other videos on my channel to learn more about how to create cool videos on a ghetto setup like this.